Welcome to Civitai.com, the home of the generative AI art community. If you enjoy this video, please consider hitting us with a like and subscribing, as it'll go a long way in helping us continue to bring you the highest quality AI community content. Please enjoy the video. We are here for a slightly earlier special stream today. We have a special guest, Horel from the Civitai AiR, or the Civitai Artist in Residence program. And today we are also joined by Chris, our Civitai AiR director. Guys, welcome to a very special Civitai creator session. This is the Civitai AiR Roundtable Part 2. Chris, good morning.
Good afternoon, Tyler.
Good afternoon.
And thank you to all the artists for joining us today. We are missing a couple of current artists in the program, but really excited to be joined by Horel, Riccardo Arena, Oshea, and Christopher Manzione. We're going to get into each of their individual practices in a minute, but just really quickly, the AiR program, for anybody who isn't aware, is our Civitai's Artist in Residence program, where we sort of serve as an incubator, a digital studio for the creative exploration of generative AI. Ultimately, our goal is to break new aesthetic ground by integrating AI into existing studio practices. All sorts of new conceptual exploration is welcome, and you'll see that a lot of the art that's being done in the program is very experimental, and hope to get into it soon. Really quickly as well, I'm very excited to note that we just launched Horel's t-shirts. If anybody caught the live stream yesterday, Horel, a digital artist who's joining us today, has made a series of AI-generated masks using an early DALL-E 2 beta model that was only released to a certain number of artists. So we've actually rekindled those and turned them into t-shirts. So they're live now as an edition of 25 for each design on shop.civitai.com. So you can buy them now.
And I just dropped the link in the chat for anyone that wants to come check these out. The shirts look really, really great.
Yeah, and it's our first physical item release, like officially, aside from our official, Civitai merch, but it's our first AiR program physical object release. So go and snap these up right now. They're $30 a pop, and I'm sure they'll go quick because they're pretty amazing. So, yep, that's that call out. Tyler, do you want to get the artists to introduce themselves? Is that
absolutely? Chris, let's start with you, and then let's work our way back up to Anne.
Sure. My name is Chris Manzione. I'm an associate professor at Stevens Institute of Technology in our art and tech program. I have a background in sculpture, digital media, augmented reality. I've had kind of touched on a lot of different projects, whatever kind of helps my concept come to life.
Awesome. Welcome. Andre.
Sorry, I accidentally hit my camera button instead of my mute button. My name is Oshea. I live outside of Atlanta. I am a 3D and AI animator. I feel like most people might know me for my 3D work. However, I'd say probably about 2 years ago, I've sort of taken a deep dive into sort of learning all the cool types of ways that you can animate with AI. I think that it creates like this really cool way of sort of, for me at least as a 3D artist, breaking that sort of like look of perfection that 3D kind of gives. Even if it's like a grungy texture, it's like perfectly grungy or something like that. So that's how I got into it. That's how I got into AI. That's my background. That's my spiel. And thank you for having me. Super excited to chat with everybody and see everybody else's process, and leave here feeling even more inspired.
Awesome, man. Welcome. Ricardo, welcome.
Hello, everybody. How to introduce myself? I'm basically a visual artist and a researcher and teacher. And my practice is most oriented to investigate the philosophical and the symbolical images through the creation of visual reflections, which are conceived most are as a poetic formalization of the research. And over the years, I dedicate myself to the development of long-term projects whose poetics and context are defined, let's say, through intuitive studies, connection, and intertwine of different travel experiences. And I developed some project in China for 2 years, and then in Argentina for 4 years, and then in Russia, in Iran, Armenia, and Ethiopia. And my last project that in some way I closed last I don't know, 6 months ago. It was started in Switzerland, and then some researchers brought me to England, and finally to Mexico. And this just to overview of my practice.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing more about that and how it all relates to everything that we're doing now. And last but not least, one more time, and go ahead and tell the people who you are.
I feel like I was there yesterday. I feel like I'm like way too much here. Hi, my name is Anne. I'm a digital artist. I've been practicing digital practices for 15 years now. I've experimented with music videos, GIF, animation, and more recently, like AR as well, XR, and more recently AI since 2022. And yeah, that's it. I'm just jumping on all of the new techniques.
Awesome. Well, welcome, guys. Chris, how should we kick this off?
Well, I thought we would actually just jump into maybe Andre's board first, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Do you have that up? And then we
I do.
start talking about that. I kicked off our most recent update by talking about Andre's work, and the update I'm referencing is our studio updates that I write every 2 weeks. And yeah, I've just been really fascinated by Andre's project. I mean, just broadly, he's sort of exploring the space around objectivity across, in this case, across 2 different platforms. So he's working in both Automatic 1111 and Comfy UI with the same settings, the same resources, everything, same seed. And he's actually getting different outputs from each different system. So he's sort of exploring how these platforms that we assume are objective on some level are actually given to, giving us different results, which is sort of a metaphor for how each and every individual has their own perspective. It's this idea of kind of cultural anisotropy, but that's, a big word for maybe later. So yeah, let's get into a little bit of it and your background. What are we looking at here, Andre?
Yeah, so right now we're sort of just looking at some just general visual inspiration, some sort of prompts I've been playing with. I think what I like about these is sort of like this sort of like dated like 80s fantasy look, but I think that there's also some sort of like modern contemporary vibes with like the idea of like things kind of glitching out and stuff like that. But sort of to elaborate what you were saying is, I think that there's this really cool artistic intersection at the origin of an event, right? And how different perspectives can give you a different look at the same event, right? Or, something different, or the different perspectives can completely change how you feel about it or look or perceive said event. I don't know if anybody's ever played the game Nier Automata, but it's this game and you sort of play it and then you beat it, right? And then you think that it's over, but then it prompts you to play again, and then you play as your partner character. And as you play as your partner character, you have completely different insight to the motivations of your previous playthrough, right? There's more information that you are now aware of and privy to that you weren't before. And I think that that's a really cool sort of like thing to lean into artistically. So if we kind of scroll over to like where we have those dogs being iterated upon, right? Well, yeah, we can go here too. So these were experiments where we were sort of I say we with this kind of like sometimes me and Chris hang out on chat and sort of just experiment a little bit, but we were sort of running the same image through image to image, no prompts, just default settings, and sort of seeing how replaying an event over and over and over can sort of distort it. I was actually thinking about this earlier, and Chris, I actually meant to shoot you a message. If anybody's seen BoJack Horseman, there's like this episode where he says, "I feel like a Xerox of a Xerox," and I feel like that is kind of like part of this sort of exploration. These are more current iteration. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Which row is comfy and which row is automatic?
I believe. Oh, comfy should be, yeah. That one's comfy, and so left is comfy, right is automatic. And these were really interesting. Again, same prompt, default settings, same seed, everything. And you'll notice it's different, but it's actually very similar. Like in the first image, it's very similar composition. You know, the park feels very similar. The dogs, while they're different breeds, are, you know, placed in the environment the same, very similarly shaped. The second one is a cup of coffee and a box. I don't know what it is, but they both have them. And the third one, now I just start generating Boston Terriers because I have a Boston named Moses. But again, you'll see that the composition is very similar, yet they're different, right? And I just sort of really wanted to explore this concept of, even though these things have the same seed, the program itself, there's something in the program, how it, I don't know, programs, processes information that sort of still leads you to a slightly different output or example. That last one being the most dramatically different, right? And so then I think if we go to the right some more, there will be just sort of some image generations, or some video generations that I was experimenting with different aesthetics. Honestly, I've kind of moved on past these ones.
But the core idea here, Andre, is embodied pretty well in the POV shot from the car, right?
Yeah.
And so what you're going to be doing is taking, well, what's in progress right now is the same train video processed through these two different systems with all the same underlying settings and getting two completely different renditions of it, i.e. two different, you know, perspectives. And then we're going to be posting those on social media on two different channels to sort of highlight the different realities that those can spin out. But you've done several tests using these car videos, right?
Yeah, so these videos, the car videos, this second row right here is probably closest to what our final output will be. Obviously, there will still be time to iterate upon these and kind of even like boost the quality threshold of these a bit more. But I really like this POV shot of traveling, right? I think that sort of really kind of lends to this idea that, you know, we're sort of spectators in these sort of like events that would take place independent of us, right? And these ones are of car videos, but I think my final output, the one that I kind of really appreciate, will be of train videos, just because I love train videos. I love POV train videos. I think that they are incredibly relaxing, but also like wildly entertaining. And then some of these are other just tests that I ran that I just ultimately decided I didn't like the content as a final output.
Tyler, could you play them back to back?
Yeah, no, sorry. I was trying to play them, but it won't let me click on it off of the hand. Let me just try to refresh the page real quick.
Oh, interesting.
If you are in there, maybe, yeah, it won't let me actually play them. Maybe you could click play on it, Chris, and it'll work.
Oh, right. Hello, I'm in here too.
I wonder if you click play, if it'll play for.
Interesting. It's playing on mine, but not on yours.
Yeah, no.
Huh.
If you want, you can share your screen, and then we can see it. Wait. Boom. I think I just had to be logged in. Sorry.
Let's go.
Oh,
Sorry
perfect.
about that. My bad. Okay. So should I start the top one or?
I think the middle two.
You can for sure.
Or yeah.
I feel like the top two are sort of like glitch inspired. You'll sort of see that the AI kind of is creating a world of its own, especially by the time we get to the third one. I think what's really cool about this is sometimes the models, the textures, the auroras might not have context for some of the stuff on screen, so they just sort of try to default put things places, like they kind of make humans out of things that aren't actually humans. I think that's really cool. It kind of I really like kind of how that kind of has like a mental like glitch effect, so to speak, you know.
Oh man, there is something. Okay, so as the video models get more and more controlled in their outputs now across the board, I think we're able to see how there is something really actually kind of like endearing and hypnotic about the ones that are completely broken.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, that's what I loved about AI, is how it could break things. I think for me, my first AI image generation came playing around on Midjourney, probably like most people. And what I really liked about it was sometimes you would input an image or whatever. I would really kind of put intangible qualities into it to sort of see how AI would interpret these things, because my belief is like AI is like a representative of like collective consciousness, right? When you put in a dog, in theory, the model is trained off of data sets of dogs. Therefore, like this is a collective consciousness of what a dog is, right? So I would start putting intangible concepts inside my prompts just to see what is the collective consciousness, like visual representation of this idea that actually doesn't have a visual match, right? And some of the things that it used to do was sort of break the perspective in plane, where like stuff in the background would also look like it's in the foreground. And I really sort of liked how that kind of like, I don't know, mashed up your reality, right? And things didn't make sense, but they made sense because that's kind of how it feels like living everyday life. Like there's stuff in the background in the back of your mind that somehow it's prevalent in the forefront of your mind, and you don't even know where it's coming from, but it's there. You know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, as real as what's actually in front of you, you know? And I really feel like, I don't know, sorry, I'm rambling again, but like that's sort of the feeling that you like I got when you described that.
Oh man, it's all good. My favorite thing about AI video is that you can go into it with an intention to make something very specific and have an idea, but what it gives you initially could be something so out of left field, but still along the same lines of what you intended. And then it like sparks a new idea in you, and you end up meeting it somewhere in the middle. And in this way, like I always think of AI as more of a collaborator now than even just like a tool. Everything I make is in collaboration with the AI, and I think that's a really healthy way to think about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that by way of maybe a segue, you know, what you're kind of doing is like mining this spiritual composite that AI is. You know, it sort of forms this backdrop of all sort of human activity, but it does sort of form this like spirit body, if you want to go in that direction. And I think that you're mining that for whichever model's sort of spiritual practice is embedded within it, right? I guess I'm making some leaps here, but I think that that's something that Ricardo's work deals with a lot. And while yours is very like platform based and technology based, Ricardo's is more sort of like historical, research based, but I think that you're both sort of trying to access that same liminal space, that sort of representation of humanity in various forms, even though you're coming at it from very different angles. So just thought I would insert that in there.
Mhm.
Awesome.
That's a great way of putting it, Chris.
So yeah, maybe just to kind of keep it moving along, and we can circle back. Maybe we can pop over to Ricardo's board and take a look there as well.
Boom. Just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Let's start from the beginning, actually, because I'm a kind of medieval guy in some way. I am not very. I'm sociable, but I'm not very social. Let's say that, okay, I used 10 years ago for 6 months Facebook, and then I don't have Instagram accounts. And thanks to these residencies, I open this Discord and Twitch, something that for me are quite esoteric in some way. But regarding my project that I'm developing this platform it's called The Zone of 40 Followers. And the subtitle is The Ontology of Non-Cartographic Representation of Space, which is a long-term project that consists of a collection of fictional geographical moments. And those moments are conceived as a kind of encyclopedia of textual and visual narratives. And that narratives intertwines different relationships between human and the territories, across cultures and areas, history, both real and imagined. So, in some way, the project explores geography as a broad discipline, more as understood as a geophilosophical practices. So, if you go on the right a little bit, I started to. If you go down. Okay, I started from one of this narration, which is called ophthalmic geographies, and I imagine one Czech scientist that developed one theory about the geographical aspect of the iris. Okay, as he tried to investigate if in the iris, in the topological aspect of the iris, he can find some geographies related to the individual. So I started to experiment with illustration and with photographical features. And as we can see on the left, I train some models with the old scientific illustration, just to recreate this aspect. And it was not so simple at the beginning. And actually, Chris helped me so much, to understand how to train specifically with Flux and with the SDXL model, and we reached something that for me it was it was close to my idea. And then
So
I train other models. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, typically you made these images in your work previously, just in Photoshop, compositing, things like that. But
Yeah.
you've used sort of these images you've made beforehand to train the models, which are actually, I was going to say, available on our site. We have a new category of AiR artist models. And so these models that Ricardo is talking about are available. Maybe I can drop a link in the chat, but continue. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, drop it. And I'll
But
share it.
if you go up a little bit, yeah, that are images that I did in Photoshop. So the first test it was to experiment how if I can make something close to the image that I previously did. And actually it was quite well because at the beginning I trained with actually 3 different models on orography and topology of the map Earth. And then if you scroll down, I try to match those models of Earth to the iris.
Awesome.
So you have an actual full written story, right? So you're both a writer and a visual artist, and so he's got these sort of speculative realism stories that you create, like you were referencing about this Czech doctor who could look into your eye and sort of assign facts about your past, your geographical reality,
Exactly.
as manifested in your eye, which sort of opens up these questions of like, okay, if everybody's history is embedded in their own iris, then what does that say about sort of like this liminal space where everybody's iris is sort of tapped into the same geography or something like that? So you write these stories and then you create these images now using AI to go alongside them, and they often take the shape of these large installations with printed images and archival text and things like that.
So. Yeah, exactly. Because my actually the beginning, of this project started in, during COVID. But then when I wrote the first stories, I wanted to have some images very realistic, like Wikipedia pages, where you can find some references, some real references. But then when I started to work with physical object, I understood that it was an enormous work, to create this apparatus of illustration of the stories. But then, just atomic bomb, happened this AI things, and I thought that I can use it, to support this story, to in some way to have some assistance, and that it was the first experiments, and another thing that I could say that parallelly. 1 month ago, I won a bursary for a PhD research about this project, so that I will develop in this next 3 years. So this is the Civitai platform. It will be a very important opportunities, to experiment something that I will develop in the next 3 years about all this image. And then if you go to the right, I started to recreate some Chinese maps based on 3 different levels, which are simple, medium, and complex. Because there is one story about to find some the origin of landscapes connected to the labyrinths, so to create some mountain chains that depicting the center of the world.
Dude, these are so sick.
His work is so complex, and there's so much research and archival, backstory to all of this, along with sort of the fictional side. Like, you're really building this sort of speculative realm that is based in reality, but really exists sort of above and beyond, like much farther above and beyond.
I love how this one almost has like the veins running through it.
Exactly, as the eyes, And sorry about my English because it's very bad and it's quite
Nope,
late
nope. It is all.
now.
It is
I have a
all.
long day, but
It's
okay. I
all
hope
good.
to
It
express myself.
is all good. It makes it sound even more mystical.
Okay.
So, and Ricardo, just to kind of tie that up, I think it would be great if we could post some of those stories as well on your board. I didn't realize those weren't accessible, but it really broadens, it gives the context of like what you were looking at when you can read this short story beside it and imagine sort of this world that you're creating through these images.
Yeah, it's true. Because all this image, okay, in some way communicate something, but as I said at the beginning, are more the support of the narration.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, cool. I think
Awesome.
maybe let's look at Chris's board, and yeah, maybe you want to give a quick intro of what this project is.
Sure. Yeah. So the first sort of AI film I did was last summer with sort of one of our pinnacle students who are these like, they get to work on a project over the summer, and we used pretty like consumer-based tech. So we had like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Runway, and 11 Labs, and we really tried to make a short film that was purely written, directed, and driven by all AI systems. So GPT was sort of the director of that, and we just implemented it through these like consumer products. So since then, filmmaking and imagery and AI have been really at the forefront of my mind. And 2001: A Space Odyssey has been this film for me for most of my life that's really resonated in a lot of ways. And it's been really stuck in my mind as far as thinking about AI and imagery. And I basically, Tyler, if you could go over to the timeline, maybe the very first block there, I can kind of explain this better. So the concept here is basically to take the visual history, the image-based visual history, and map it onto the full film. So kind of recreating the full film and mapping it in a way that I think really makes a lot of sense with the structure of the film itself. So the very front part of the film, before you see the first monolith, is kind of pre-consciousness, pre-self-awareness. And I'm building all these LoRa's. That's kind of what I think I'll mostly be focusing on during these first 2 months of the residency, or the 2 months of the residency. So these LoRa's will be based on image making prior to any kind of photography. So it'd be like cave paintings, papyrus, some Egyptian type of work, some like a gesso, ink painting, things like this. And then after the monolith happens in the film, they become aware, and then you kind of jump into space, advanced technology, and then let's go down one.
So you'll be doing a style
block
for
to the next
every few minutes. You'll
so every style transfer will be between 1 and 3 minutes, maybe, or so. And then the next part of the film will go into photography. So I've kind of mapped out a history of like different photography methods and processes, and I'll be building LoRa's for each of these as well. And then eventually you get to another monolith, and that's kind of when AI becomes conscious, doesn't fully take over yet. And this is all color photography into digital photography. And then AI takes over, and this will be all digital photography. And then when AI is fully in charge in the film after the intermission, that'll be kind of full AI gen type videos as they are right now today. And I'm looking hopefully to get the last chunk of the film, maybe find 15 to 20 different artists to take a chunk of the film and do what they do best with that part of the film.
Yeah, actually, this is the perfect platform for that. I'd sort of, that had fallen to the wayside as of late, but I do want to make an official announcement that if anybody's interested in potentially contributing a resource they've trained to be featured as one of the LoRa's in the AI Gen portion of the film, please get in touch with us, because we'd love to hook you up with Chris and see if it'll work out as part of the film.
Yeah, or even build a more developed project, and the rendering side I'm going to be planning to kind of manage and handle. So the idea is that the whole film becomes this like visual history. So I've been doing a lot of testing, kind of trying to find a set of workflows that work best and also allow me to do as much as I'm going to need to do. These are some still images, and then there's some clips down below from different tests that I've been doing. The most recent is actually this LCM mask control net test. It's only a couple seconds. I'm rendering a full pass of it now. So I'm really trying to keep the structure of the film as far as like compositionally, and then have the style transfer, and then the prompting is something I'm figuring out now. So I think the prompting is going to be sort of a formula of the time period and maybe some kind of philosophical sort of zeitgeisty like infusion of that time period, and really trying to make the style kind of come to the forefront. So this is like a sketching kind of like charcoal transfer on the style here. This was like a Van Gogh Laura, just testing kind of like the stability of the background and getting things kind of wrapping my mind around comfy in a big way. So
it is a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
So you've got what, a 2.5 hour movie to output?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that's part of it too, is finding the workflows that are going to let me do that. I think this is like a long project. This is probably like, I don't know, 6, 8, 9, 10 months away before it's like getting close to done. But maybe not, maybe sooner. Some of the LCM stuff seems quite fast compared to some other things that I've done here.
That is definitely going to be the way to go.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting project, I think, for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons is, we were talking about this sort of objectivity in the digital realm. And, we assume that these base models are trained on a really broad, and deep data set that encapsulates sort of an average of what our culture and history is. But really, when you want to go super specific and deep into a certain area, there is no, photolithography LoRa or Kodachrome LoRa, or, there are some now, but when you want to get super specific, like you were just doing, what's another one that you were just doing?
So the LoRas, if we go over to the right, all the way to the right, there's the ones I've sort of touched on so far. Yeah, tin type
is what I was thinking of. Yeah. So these resources don't exist yet. So you're, number one, you're actually contributing to, opening up our visual history in this format, in this space by making this film. But number two, you're also sort of pointing out that these styles are part of our history, but they're not accessible on the surface, like on like the large models that are published. So we as open source creators have to sort of recreate our history and make it accessible again. I just find that so fascinating.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I haven't thought about it like that yet, but yeah. No, I think that's like a big focus for this time. Like the residency time chunk is really building out a big timeline of these LoRas. Yeah.
So and all these LoRas are in that collection as well. That's on the site, so you can access any of these right now.
Yeah, actually, the most recent one for some reason doesn't show up.
I've got to manually add them. That's why. So
SDXL one. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this are these LoRas all on your Civitai profile?
They are. Yeah.
Chris, can you share the link to his profile with me in the private chat, and then I'll go ahead and put that in the chat for everyone?
Yeah, I'll do you one better. I'll share the actual Air Artist LoRa collection where everybody's LoRas, all the Air Artists have been added to.
In that case, I have that link. Let me just reshare it.
Nice. And then I'll add his most recent one, so you can just access everything directly. What's the most recent one that you did then?
The Civitai, the SDXL one.
Oh, okay. There you go. Adding that now.
And here, let's just since we're talking about that, let's just pull this up on screen so everyone can see it real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, all the resources that have been trained through the AIR program are in that link that I just dropped in both the Twitch and the YouTube chat. So if you want to go ahead and play around with these LoRa's and contribute some stuff to their galleries so that maybe they can see too, stuff is possible that they didn't think of, and interesting ways that you guys would use the LoRa's as the community, please go ahead and do so.
Absolutely. Or maybe make a hybrid LoRa like Anne has done for her film or for her exhibition coming up, trained on all the different artists' works. Well, cool. Thanks for walking us through that. I think that we're, moving along at a good clip. I wanted to just briefly talk about Anne's new film work and maybe screen that if we still have time to do that. Do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you want to do this as right now or last and kind of open up the discussion that we were having yesterday with Anne? Because I think right on the tail end of seeing everyone's work, that's actually a good place to delve into and kind of get the various feedbacks, and then we can wrap up the stream by showing Anne's video and letting everyone know where they can go help her out and vote on that and stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
So here,
cool.
let me pull the screen off for right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, open chat. If anybody has any questions, by the way, please throw them in about anybody's work. Be happy to answer them. But I did want to continue our discussion on sort of authenticity, objectivity, and all that in the space. I know that there's a number of artists in the program that are specifically working with false artifacts or, sort of speculative realism, like we kind of all are in AI, I guess, like creating objects that are in some sense real, but are, by definition not, because they've never existed before. I just wanted to sort of open up the discussion and ask, maybe Ricardo, how you think about that. Maybe you can kick it off.
Okay, let's open up the discussion.
Yeah.
About the authenticity, or because last time we spoke about the style, that many artists are concerned about their own style, which for me is a sort in this historical period is a sort of superficial question, no, about how you can show your personalities through your creative process, or the formalization of your creative processes. And for me is a tricky question, because we are facing a new period, quite unpredictable, that is the artist will be, the figure of artist will be in some way vanished in some way, because artists in a way of to identify authors, as someone that create something that can be differentiated to someone else. It as we facing a sort of bulimic flood of images, determinate an anorexia of significance. So this is something that we need simply to be conscious about what does it mean author in this historic period. This is just the premise of the conversation.
I think so. I think it's actually. I love what you said. I mean, that was a very extreme metaphor, but it's quite beautiful, I think. But I think that kind of what we were talking about with Anne as well is that your style can become your identity, which becomes something that is very important to protect. I think just as an artist, and it can become what defines an artist. But I also get what you're saying, that artistry, or maybe to be an artisan, where you're sort of divorcing conceptual practice from style, is dangerous these days, because that style can be co-opted by others, right? So therefore, it's sort of like, what then is your art practice if people can just take your style? And so it's sort of, everybody has agency in this space, though, right? Which is why we are in open source. We can all sort of define our own routes. So it's sort of important that we, in some sense, guard our identity through the style that we choose, if that is sort of the core content of our practice. I know, Anne, you probably have more thoughts on that.
Can I? Yeah, I don't want to interrupt.
No, please.
I was thinking about what you said yesterday. I think the most important term that we mentioned yesterday was identity. And I'm just thinking about like how I think it's important to encourage any person on this planet to, it's not like seeking your identity or whatever, like find who you are. It sounds very very guru to say that, but in a world where everything is uniformed and everything kinds of like melts into this same blob of identity, I think it's part of self-preservation, like as an individual, to stand for your identity. It's not like preserve or protect your identity. I don't really like this lexic of
Sure.
like you're guarded, as if you were in danger. I don't feel in danger as an artist. I just feel like I would like everyone to feel free to express who they are deeply, instead of following a paved way out of like lack of confidence, or being too afraid to take any risk to stand for themselves. I don't know if it makes any sense, but I think that's the bottom of what we said yesterday. I've been thinking about that all day. I think it was, identity is a very important word.
Yeah.
So here's a really great question from Artenis, who is always with us here in the Twitch chat and the live streams. He says, I am not an artist, but as artist before starting the AIR program, did you see AI as a threat or an opportunity, and why? So if anyone has any strong feelings to answer that, please go ahead.
Never a threat. An opportunity and a great new tool.
Yeah, I see it as an opportunity. I've been drawn to nascent technology that I think allows new ways of thinking and making. Like the history of my work kind of follows some of that tech, because I think it allows you to sort of approach things in a way you couldn't before. So I just see all AI being this additional tool. I don't think it's like erasing anyone or any kind of way of making. We still have ceramicists and oil painters and printmakers, and we're still going to have them. We're just now going to have these other tools to be using. Yeah.
So here's a question relating to this. Do you guys think that a lot of the defensive-ness and the people that really feel threatened by AI, being an artist or being in your folks' shoes, I could see a lot of people being very prideful that was the route in life they chose to take, and that they feel very connected to their ability to create things with their artistic vision. And it's something that maybe a lot of people felt like they had that was inherently different from everyone else. But if you now give everyone else the ability to create stuff in kind of like that way, then there's going to be a large group of people that maybe lose that feeling of like, this is the thing that made me special, for lack of better words.
Is it like, can we put ownership on creativity?
I don't think so.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, creativity is the most beautiful thing humankind has. Like, and it's not something that a group of people can own. Like everybody has creativity to just embody, you know?
I think it's similar to what happened like when photography happened. There was, all the painters were freaked out, and it was like sacrilege. It was like this thing that you should not be like supporting or doing, because the way that we like come to imagery and the way that we like understand it is through painting. And this like photography was like the shortcut, right? And I get the like the feelings that some people have that feel like threatened now, but I think the true value of the artist and kind of where they're strongest is in their ideas and in their implementation of the thing. So like if anyone can make anything at any time, that's fine. But like, what's your idea behind it? What are you doing with it? And I think that's artists. Like we're always going to be those people.
Yeah, I completely agree on that, because sometimes we confuse visual with vision. AI create visual things. Artists, the real one, create vision of things. And this is the big difference. It's not that you create one image, one fancy images, and automatically, okay, you can be an artist. This word even is super inflationated. So, but in my opinion, to be an artist with capital letters, it means that you create words, kind of a different dimension to explore. You are not creating image, but you create imaginaries, which are more kind of ecosystem, to explore inside, And this, I think, is a little bit the key point of the conversation in this moment. How you nourish yourself to create a wider space inside you to see, a wider space around you. Is a kind of reciprocity, more you have a bigger space inside, more you can see space around you. And this is the work of artists to stimulate this sort of space, and it's not only to create images.
So does AI's sort of latent diffusion allow you to access that interior space and expand it? Then do you think that these processes allow us to sort of mine ourselves in the same way that we're mining these big data sets?
Okay, I don't know, maybe, but at the same time, it's different to take about data, to say about the information and to say about knowledges. There are three different aspects, as even Einstein said. The data is just a sign, information is just the context of the science, and knowledge is the experience, of something that you can get. So in my opinion, the experience is the most important things. Art is a tool, and if you're not using this tool to put poetry in your vision, okay, is another way of capitalism. I don't know, to monetize.
Yeah, I think there's also like I think there's also some, when I think about like craft or like skill or like process, where there's like a deep study of a process or a deep study of like a particular skill, say like within like ink painting or ceramics or whatever it is, or even like 3D modeling or something like that. There are like truly really deep skills there that I think fall in the craft side of things, or closer to like what we would think of as like craft. And I think sometimes there's an attachment of like value there, which there is value there, but I think that that's like adjacent to like the conceptual value like of an artwork as well. So there's like this kind of like spectrum of like formalist and like conceptual, and it's like, where do you fall on that line?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if like you're really valuing just sort of the skill that you bring to it, maybe, you know, AI feels a little more intrusive.
I think for where I sit and have sat for the past 18, 24 months and all this, is the most beautiful thing about all of this is that AI gives this spark to people, because I think at everyone's core, everyone is inherently creative, but not everyone ever felt compelled to pick up a pencil or a sketch pad or a paintbrush or a camera. But there's still creativity in everyone, and the people who are fortunate enough to kind of fall into the rabbit hole that these tools are now able, for like the first time, and a lot of people I've met for the first time, to really express their creativity in a way that nothing else ever really made sense, to the point where maybe throughout their life they were almost fooled by themselves that they weren't creative, just because they didn't feel called to use any of the traditional tooling up until now. But now it opens up an entire door of possibilities for people that just like didn't even know that there was this thing inside of them, right?
Yeah, I love what someone said in the chat, that AI is also something that allows you to put your dreams into a vision. And I feel like with the accessibility of like new tools and people being able to just like jump into the new tools and be creative is opening new doors. But also I think that creativity is underrated. I don't know how it is in schools all over the world, but I know that I wish in my education, like in France, I wish it was more valued. You know, like creativity is not just make a drawing; it can just be like a thought or like a concept. It can be like make a great cake and be creative with the cake. It's creativity is, as I said, it's like the most beautiful thing that we have, and it's available in each and every individual on this planet. Even animals are creative.
Absolutely, I'm completely agree with that.
So there was actually a question I want to go back to before it gets pushed too far up in the chat here. So Democrates asks, how do you all see the size of teams? Can they be helpful or hurtful more so with AI than previous technologies when it comes to collaborative work? Since AI allows you to very much be an individual with your work and probably take more on as an individual than ever before, do you see this being something that still encourages people to collaborate in larger settings, or do you think we start to see less of that as this stuff evolves?
Can I answer this?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, please.
I have actually a great example, like as an experience, as you were saying earlier. I'm used to work by myself. I've always been like a loner, and recently I made this movie, and I couldn't do it by myself. And even though it's fully AI generated, I needed someone for the screenplay, because I'm a terrible storyteller, and I needed someone who knows how to write stories. And ChatGPT is a terrible storyteller. Like the scripts and screenplays in ChatGPT are terrible. Like the sentences are always the same. Like there is no style. I don't see any literal style. Like I'm a big reader and I don't see any style in like ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a bad writer. So you need someone who can write a screenplay. Eventually, maybe ChatGPT is going to be better, or new tools are going to be invented. But still, there are some stuff that I think the machine is not ready to imitate. That's also something I wanted to talk about yesterday, and then I thought about it later. The innovation and imitation. It's like two different notions, and with AI, these are two very important terms. And so there are some skills that AI will not be able to imitate because it cannot invent stuff that doesn't exist in their knowledge because they weren't trained with stuff. So we have the bit like the core of creativity, and then AI gets the knowledge from this creativity. So the original creativity is human. If it makes any sense.
I think that actually raises a really important question. I mean, especially as we verge on, AGI, et cetera. There was just an article that came out that was sort of pointing to an academic article that basically surmised that the way in which AI models learn, machine learning takes place, is not so different from the way that our brain actually interprets reality. And I can post a link to this paper. And so it does beg the question, how are we different from what AI is doing if we are supposedly capable of original thought, even though we're trained on just the data set that is the world? Why is AI capable of original thought?
So deep.
I mean, Chris, I think we talked a little bit about this. Like, I don't really think there's anything that's original. I think everything's influencing everything.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I also don't feel like overly threatened by like maybe some amount of my like work has been gobbled up by some kind of like training of a model. Like, I kind of feel like, great, like put it in there. Like, I'd rather be part of it. And also, yeah, it's like a little chunk of it.
Yeah,
we're all just a Xerox of a Xerox.
but we all like to think we're very original.
Yeah.
or maybe it's a straw man of a question, and maybe originality is just impossible to begin with, so we should stop being concerned with it.
I think at some point, it obviously was, because all these kind of like extremely creative thoughts that are outside of what you would normally just see in nature came from someplace, right? But as time goes on, and it's literally impossible to look anywhere without consuming something that has been thought of and brought into existence before. It's like, what is originality anymore if not the next iteration of ideas cohesively coming together that don't look like the previous iterations of themselves?
Yeah, and I think also if, I think we all build on a specific like field or like area that we're involved in. But also if we don't have the knowledge of what came before or what things were built on, when someone does innovate in some way that's like some new look or concept or feeling, like without understanding the world before it, you can't even recognize it as something that's new.
Absolutely. And it's a matter of education as well. And I love, like, just to step out a little bit, I just love how, and that's something that always seduced me in AI. I love how it's kind of magical and esoteric, because it's like all of this conversation is about God, like the original thought, like the Big Bang, like, and it's something that is mind blowing to me. And there is something you mentioned, global consciousness or collective consciousness. I keep thinking that AI is a Babel tower, and it's like a place where everything is like bubbling up and creating new ideas from something, from stuff that already exists. So what you were saying, Chris, about nothing is original, everything comes from something. And AI is very educated, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and especially the originality is not something that you are looking for, is a consequence of something. No? Something is not something that you can predict. No, to be original is something that happen, is emerge in
Yes.
some way is something that you are not seeking.
Mhm.
Good way to look at it. It's almost
So
like,
if you want to do something original, I mean, is the worst way to get it.
is it almost, are you almost saying that you as the creator do not have the power to actually designate something as original? That's not up to you. It's almost, it's this sort of the label that comes from the circumstance of you creating in the
Exactly.
context of other things.
Yeah, you create the cause and the circumstances to let it happen. No.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is only tool that you have it, and your passion.
To me,
And how
it's
you are celebrating your day, your imaginary space on your daily life.
Yes.
to me, the term original, like, oh, you're so original, I've always received it as an insult. What do you mean? Like, what does it mean to be original? Like, original from what? What's the norm? Like, what is your criteria of, like, what do you base this originality on? Like, I don't feel original. Like, I'm normal to me. Like, that's my norm, I don't know.
Well,
That's the first thing you can do to an artist.
Yeah, and I think you're very normal.
Thank you.
This goes back though to Andre's work, which is pointing out this perspectival shift that happens among all of us, right? So it's like three different people can witness the same event and have completely different interpretations of what happened. So the same can be said for originality, right? Originality is different for every single spectator when they encounter a work because it differs based on the personal history that they bring. So that sort of dovetails with what Ricardo was saying. And I think that's, maybe a throughput in this conversation. So
awesome. Well, look, I really appreciated that conversation. I think that was really great. I know that chat really did because we saw a lot of really great, not only questions, but just different perspectives from people in the chat that, thank you guys. I do want to circle back though, because we're coming to kind of the ending here. And Anne, would you like to introduce this thing that we are about to see and tell everyone kind of what it is and what it's about and how long it took you to make it?
Okay, it's a short movie called Deepfake. It's almost all AI generated, as I mentioned. The screenplay was written by a friend of mine. We co-wrote it together. But the music, the animations, the visuals, obviously, were all AI generated. I started gathering data and images in June-ish, but it's not counting all of the research I've been doing in character development the past early month. So let's say that it's a 6-month research or something like that. And then I edit it and put everything together, and this summer, so it was like 3 to 4 months of animation and everything.
And this is for the Artifact AI Film Festival. So guys, we're actually going to go ahead and show this. The Anne short film is about 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do, if you all as the community could help her out, she needs you guys to hit the little heart button on here because there is a community voting aspect to this, and we all know how those things go if someone has a larger following than someone else. So go ahead and help Anne out. But are we cool if we go ahead and show this right now?
Sure, let's do it. I'm intimidated.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and full screen this. And if you guys could, just while this is happening, just go ahead and hit the mute button for me.
Yeah.
Prénom, Charlie. Famille, tubercule. Je suis une patate, et ceci est mon histoire. Je suis née comme une patate, plan à la verticale, germe vers le haut, de la terre pas trop tassée, et puis j'ai ouvert les yeux, tous mes yeux, genre beaucoup d'yeux. Est-ce que j'ai pleuré ? Je ne sais pas, peut-être. La plus jolie de tout le service, une petite grenaille bien calibrée. Tout le monde disait, celle-là, elle va rouler loin. La vie ne sera que rissolement. C'est peut-être pour ça que je me suis jamais posé de questions. J'ai juste suivi la recette. J'ai été désirée, entourée, brossée. J'ai tout eu. Tout. Des copains, des copines, du ketchup à la cantine, la meilleure à la corde à pommes de terre sautée, première patate partie, premier baiser. Un peu trop de sauce, mais c'était bon. Bac, classe pré-patate, AOC, et puis tout qui s'enchaîne, à toute vapeur. Première connerie aussi, j'ai abusé du Botox. Je suis tombée dans le glyphosate. J'ai perdu mon label bio pour un peu de sauce samouraï. J'ai fait le tour du monde, je suis passée à la casserole. On m'a tout dit, même que je pourrais pousser sur Mars. Et puis à force de se planter, on finit par se poser. C'est tonton qui a filmé le mariage. On est beau, hein ? Monsieur et Madame Patate. Oui, parce que l'amour, parce qu'un jour on se jette à l'eau, on se laisse éplucher. Et puis on se marie en robe des champs, parce qu'on en rêvait, ou peut-être parce qu'on nous a dit à la télé, dans les films, parce qu'on suit la recette, sans se poser de questions. Mais on s'en fout, on a le rêve, sans économe, schlac, sous nos yeux, tous nos yeux, genre beaucoup d'yeux. C'est pratique parce qu'on fait tous le même, en même temps. Maillot, boulot, dodo. Maillot, boulot, dodo. On fait son beurre. On épatate la galerie. Et à la fin de la journée, on est rosti. Mais faut rester appétissante. Faut bouillir pour être belle. Alors on fait ce qu'il faut. Pour que la fécule reste féculente. Que le tubercule reste tuberculeux. Que la chair reste ferme. Patatas bravas, patati patata. Ok, mais on fait comment quand on sait pas où poser ses racines ? Purée. Non mais ça va aller, hein, ça va.
Non.
Non, je crois que ça va pas.
Tate.
Ça va pas du tout. Non, ça va pas.
Tatra.
Et un jour, on ouvre les yeux. Mais on est quand même dans le noir, on tente le retour à la terre. Mais c'est pas Noirmoutier, hein. C'est le noir sous vide, le noir dont on est perdu. Une patate à tâtons dans le néant intertupérique. Seul au milieu du gratin. Alors que merde, j'ai été tout ce qu'il fallait. Chips en été, frites quand il fallait snacker, duchesse dans le haut du panier, vapeur en hiver, en tortilla avec des moules, des haricots, en aligot, en poutine, en tartine. Je me suis fait braiser dans tous les sens. Mais jamais cru. Jamais. Sans assaisonnement, on est quoi en fait ? On est quelque chose. Oh, je vous parle. Vous m'entendez ou pas ?
Tate.
On est là, des milliards, pareil. Tout simple mais pas suffisant. On roule, on cherche ailleurs, sans rien comprendre. Et le Botox pour tenir, et le condensed milk pour se diluer les flocons, pour travailler l'amidon. Mais la vérité, c'est que la vie, elle est hachie. Et nous, on se fait bouffer. Purée.
Sombre tubercule. Sans sauce pour te consoler. Terre seule te pleure.
Après, peut-être que c'est pas que notre faute. Oui, peut-être qu'on a appris que ça. Qu'on a juste pris exemple. C'est pour ça qu'on se pose jamais de questions. Ou sinon, c'est parce qu'on est tous des patates. Et à la fin, on sait toujours pas. Pourtant, on a suivi la recette.
That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm bawling over here.
That was absolutely awesome. Guys, I'm going to put the link to that in the chat one more time. Go give Anne a heart, give her a vote. She definitely deserves it. And let's kind of rally behind that. I didn't pre-watch that prior to the stream, even though Chris sent me that link yesterday. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And I think more than the style, I mean, is so, I mean, your visual style is so deeply embedded, but the writing was just so damn good. It's such a good story.
Yeah,
Really-
Thomas is good. He's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Not ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The ChatGPT script was terrible. Really.
Wow.
Someone in the chat said, "Is this a French fry psyop?"
What is PSYOP? What does it mean?
Mission, like a military mission or
Oh, okay.
Psychological operation.
psychological operation.
Yeah. I think actually, you know what it is it's propaganda, because Civitai is based in Idaho. So it's our the potato state, right? Which Oregon just claimed. We're very mad at them right now. Anyway, sorry, off topic.
No, dude, and that was amazing. We will go ahead and push that out on our Twitter after the stream is done for you as well. And yeah, Chris, you kind of or wait, sorry, there was one last thing from the very beginning I wanted to come back to that I saw, and I told him we would circle back. Let me just find the question from Artemis. Yeah, so here is the question. This is a general AIR question. If you want to go ahead and answer this for anyone that is interested, because I know that probably this stream combined with yesterday's stream, and how many more people we now have watching this, a lot more people are probably inspired to try to apply for AIR rather than when it first launched and no one had any idea what we were up to. So yeah, go ahead and take that away.
Yeah, no, great question. So we do ask that you have a specific project in mind. And but that being said, it's open to anybody, right? It says right on the website, prerequisite. There's no prerequisite for great ideas. So if you have, an idea that you feel is worthy of submitting to being part and trying to develop over 1 or 2 months using our tools, being a part of our community, please do submit it. We want to look at anything and everything. That being said, there are a lot of submissions and a lot of really great artists out there. So, we ask you to be patient, and we'll get back to you, of course, with a decision. But please do apply. We want to hear from everybody from everywhere. So,
and I couldn't recommend more to apply. It's really, really cool. It's a very it's not the right word, but it's late here, so I will stay to cool. It's way more than cool.
I did want to give one last shout out to Anne's t-shirts as well. So everybody just remember those are officially live and available on shop.civitai.com. So you can navigate over there. And if you liked her film, go and like that and support. And if you like her work, you can go and buy a t-shirt. So,
and let's get the AIR website up here one more time, and get the link there for everyone to go ahead in case they're interested. So guys, in the Twitch and the YouTube chat, we have the links to Anne's t-shirts that we just dropped on shop.civitai, as well as to the air.civitai.com website, where if you are interested, you can apply for one of the upcoming cohorts. So any last words, Chris?
I've loved working with all of you, and I just want to thank all the artists for being here and everybody for tuning in. It's just been an amazing journey. So thank you, Anne. Thank you, Ricardo, Andre, Chris. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler, of course.
Yep.
Our generous host.
I am merely the person who clicks stream. So guys, no, thank you all. I really enjoy these conversations. Thankfully, because of my position here, I am very fortunate to be able to talk to a lot of extremely talented people from all across the AI sphere on a very regular basis, and it never ceases to shock me how different this particular conversation is from every other conversation that I have, and it always, I think, is good to give not only myself, but the rest of the community that tunes into these streams a very different perspective on these tools that we stare at every day from, the outside looking in from completely different disciplines and the takes that you guys have on it. And I think it helps all of us continue to get better. And someone just called me the Joe Rogan of AI. So I will take that as a compliment.
last thing, Rogan. So next Friday. So one of the reasons we got a little more conceptual with this discussion is that I will be taking this discussion, using it as inspiration, expanding upon it to write an editorial for a brand new AI magazine that's coming out. It's chiefly by a group of folks out of Germany, but we're partnering with them to help, put work into the magazine. And we're gonna actually have our, Civitai branded limited edition of the magazine when it comes out. So there'll be a full article kind of recapping and expanding on the ideas that we talked about here in that magazine. We're going to be talking to the founders of that magazine next Friday. Christoph Grunberger, Boris Eldagson, Annika Meyer of Expanded.art, which some of you might know, and Mike Bronner. And so they'll be on next Friday. And again, this whole conversation will be sort of turned into an article that's going to go in their magazine. So I just wanted to plug that for next Friday as well.
Amazing. So not only that do we have to look forward to next Friday, just kind of coming back to our regular stream, next Friday, we are going to be joined by KF Tiger again, back by popular demand. And he is going to be giving us his rundown on how to train extremely good LoRa's with Flux on the site. This time, instead of based on styles, based on concepts, text, objects, and whatnot. And we're going to kind of turn KF Tiger into a 3-part Flux LoRa training series, and then circle back again after that and learn how to train very precise characters with him. So KF Tiger will be on with me next week, Friday. Chris and Ricardo, Andre, Chris, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been a Civitai AiR Roundtable. My name is Tyler. This is Civitai.com. Do not forget to like and subscribe to us, not only on Twitch, but at Hello Civitai across all of our socials. It really helps us out, and it helps keep the lights on and keep this rolling so we can bring more stuff like this. Man, I'm so stoked that we get to do this because no one else in the AI sphere is doing anything like this and bringing so many different people together to talk about all the cool things they're doing so everyone can see what's possible with this stuff. So guys, thank you all. Thank you. I'm sure we'll be circling back with all of you again at some point in the very near future. And Chris, our next Civitai AiR Roundtable is going to be the last Friday of next month. I believe that date, real quick, just so I can throw it out there, is going to be October 25th. So that will be the next time we will be doing this.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, look, let me get all of you guys to hang around for just a few minutes after the stream is over. But chat, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Friday. This is Civitai.com. And